I'm ready.
You are going to have a real treat today. A man who I like to call the Da Vinci of our times, the great Michael Mentler. Michael, so glad you're with us today.
Good to be here.
What are you going to do for us?
Well, I'm going to sketch in my sketchbook. I'm going to draw three figures: a front view, a side view, and a back view, which basically is an exercise I do quite often. It's called a tre graze. It dates back to pre-Renaissance, really. And I'm going to talk about how this process relates to my gallery paintings.
Oh, okay. I'm excited about this. Now, I got to tell everybody that Michael was here. Michael and Dottie, his dog, who's probably down at his feet right now, was here at the house,
Lolly.
and we shot a video together. And he let me look through his sketchbook, which is, imagine, Da Vinci handing him your sketchbook. Now, nobody's Da Vinci, but Michael his sketchbook is incredible. And he actually, as a gift, he tore out a page and gave it to me, which is one of my most cherished pieces of my art collection. So Michael, thank you for that. I think everybody's going to really love this today. It's going to be really exciting. Why don't we, let's just get right into it here. I'll put you on full screen. You need to turn your camera around. What do you need to do?
I just need to, punch front camera here.
There we go. Uh-oh.
Oh, no, I turned camera off. So how do I get into front camera?
I don't know. I don't think a front camera will work. You're just going to have to turn the camera around because of the program we use.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, while you're doing that,
sure, no problem.
I'm just going to take you off for a second. Welcome, day 335. I'm Eric Rhoads from Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. Our guest today is the great Michael Mentler, and you're going to learn a lot from this. It's going to be really terrific. I want to just tell you real briefly. First off, the winner of yesterday's prize, the easel brush clip, is Elizabeth Beller-Curnow from Michigan. So congrats to Elizabeth. Today's prize is my book, Make More Money Selling Your Art. Be sure to leave a comment to win. And so leave a comment. Tell us where you're watching from, U.S. or non-U.S. Non-U.S. especially, because we like to see the outside. Now, I've made a decision based on feedback. I am not going to be reading all the names and interrupting anybody with when people are tuning in from other countries. I will mention them, but I'll save them up and mention them all at once a couple of times rather than interrupting people, because I got some feedback on that and I want to make sure that I'm giving you my best. So anyway, let me show you real quickly a couple of things that Michael Mentler has done, because I want you to get a feel for his work. Just absolutely stunningly beautiful. And Michael has a whole series on drawing. As a matter of fact, this is the video. It's called Figure Drawing, and it's one of the finest videos we've ever produced, and figure drawing in the Renaissance tradition. Now, Michael does a painting as well. He does some really beautiful sketch work, and his work kind of transcends both the Renaissance and the current kind of feel of today, which is really wonderful. But you'll get a chance to see him do some of this. And there's a self-portrait of his, and this is a sketch. So, Michael, I think we're ready for you. I'm going to.
What do you see? Do you see three figures? Eric, do you see three figures?
Well, we were having an internet outage there for a moment. Let's try this one more time. You need to bring your camera down a little bit. We can see the top of three figures.
I need to bring it up a little bit.
Okay. Needs to come. Yeah, bring the drawing up a little bit more.
Oh, up higher?
Okay, there we got it. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put something here to hold it up there. Okay. All right.
This is what happens when you're on live, guys.
Yeah. Well, I thought I could just flip the camera around. That's what I was doing yesterday, so or Saturday. Anyway, so what I'm going to talk about is how I arrive at these three figures. Can you see the total figure?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so this is getting developed a little along the way, but I really do this exercise, which all my paintings, my current gallery paintings, all deal with three figures. This is a front view, a side view, and a back view. They vary in arrangement, and I create a proscenium for each one. But I'm going to start with that.
That's a word I don't know. What is a proscenium? A box?
A proscenium is the stage opening.
Is it what? Say that again.
The stage opening, like at a play or in a theater. It's
okay. All right.
Where the curtain comes across.
All right.
So if you visualize, this is the we have downstage and upstage, and we have the center. So this is really in a three-dimensional space. These are all in cubes. So I really work with pen and ink, and I will start these from scratch, so you can kind of see the process.
Oh, great. Good. Thank you.
This is, can you see that top mark?
Yes, sir.
How about this? Is that a bottom mark?
Yeah. Now everybody's going to want to know what kind of pen and paper you're using.
Well, this is basically some sketchbooks that I had made up for myself. This is a French's paper. Strathmore makes a colored paper, so does Fabriano, but this is a French's speckle tone. And so what I do is then I create this proscenium, which is a stage opening, because I'm really kind of giving my figure a stage, a place to live. And this is all a three-dimensional process. Now, I showed Eric this at one time when I was down there. You really kind of have to trust your eye to get to this point down here at the bottom so that you're not too sketchy. And again, you're trusting your eye to get to that point. So I'm always looking for centers. And my process really is based on Euclidean geometry rather than being dependent on the model per se. Once again, this is really how it was done in the Renaissance. People have the misconception that Leonardo and Michelangelo and the boys worked from life. They actually worked from other master drawings, and they really kind of took the theory. So this would be my central figure.
Can I ask you a question real quickly?
You bet.
It looks like you dropped in perspective at the bottom. Is that what you did?
Yeah, this is the floor plan. So this is where I'm going to place my feet. And I'll go ahead and develop this one a little bit so that we can kind of see what happens here. Let's just do a side view. This is the block for the pelvis. Now, when I do my finished gallery works, sometimes these blocks remain as blocks. They become other geometric shapes. The head, in the way that I work, is primarily early on just a placeholder. So if we have this now, when I was talking about this being, so I have my weight-bearing leg coming down here, and then this now becomes the stage for my feet. And I have some dimension to where the placement of my feet happen. So we're
Can you push that up just a slight bit more because we're starting to come off camera?
Oh, okay. All right, hold on just a second. Let me get something to do it with.
Sorry about that. I hope everybody is well today. Make sure you leave comments in the comments section. And if you hang out, I'm going to tell you about my cocktail party on Thursday. You want to join me for that. And if you're new, and go into the comments and tell us that this is your first timer. Hi, Brazil.
So we got it now?
Yep.
Okay, so when I say this is my floor plan, this is my other foot. Now, you really don't want to have anything parallel with any of the sides because you're trying to create movement. But it's very important that this is like heel to heel. It's very important early on that I know what these are. And I kind of pride myself that my figures actually stand up, I mean, they actually have some weight. But this area here, and you will see that I use this blending tool, and this is just a really one that comes with some of these watercolor marker sets.
So it's a watercolor marker?
Yeah, it's the blending tool that comes with a watercolor marker. So, I basically, that's just kind of a armature for a figure. And of course, I can flesh these out now because I know basically where everything is. This now becomes really more of a cage shape for the rib cage. It's important that we know where that iliac spine is. Here we're coming down to the kneecap. We have the block of the knee. I really drop back here and kind of pick up the idea of the fibula. Then I come down and loop around on the teardrop bottom of that, and I create my little foot. I like to work on toned surfaces so that I can come back in and pull some areas out if I want to here and there.
This all looks very difficult. Is this something we can actually learn?
You actually can learn it. I'm going to stop for a second and show you something that I can lay my hands on. Yeah, I see it. Hold on.
All right. Our guest today is Michael Mentler. This is a very rare treat. We have people watching from all over the world, but I'm not going to interrupt Michael anymore.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to show you this because you want to know what it takes to learn this kind of thing. While we've been going through this COVID experience, I just show you some of these. This is Bridgman's book, which I've gone through lots and lots and lots and lots of times. I've drawn his drawings. I've drawn on his drawings. I've drawn my drawings by his drawings. These are from Dewar's alphabet. This is all has to do with geometric forms, finding forms in space. Now, hopefully you can't tell too much what his drawings are and where my drawings start. But that's how you learn this stuff, and it takes time.
And so what's your best advice on that? Just get a Bridgman's book and just start trying to copy?
Well, it's not really a matter of copying. One of the things about Bridgman, I will talk about Bridgman a little bit because it's an important distinction between him and some of the other instructors. But this is a line that divides the functions. This would be my hamstring muscle. So it's important that, all of the masters of the Renaissance knew all of these muscle groups. And, they dropped their calf muscle down, their Achilles tendon down, this little muscle that goes down there. So, the gluteus maximus that goes in between that muscle and to the bone. So Bridgman, if you look at his books, you will think that they are really about anatomy and structure more than they actually are, because if you look at Bridgman's students' work, so what I do then is I really work with three figures. This is called a trait grise. So there's a front view, a side view, and a back view in most of my paintings.
And why do you do that?
Well, I will tell you here that in a minute, because I like the idea of that, the Renaissance exercise, which if you look at Raphael or almost any Renaissance master, you will see that that's one of the things that they did. All of them, both drawings and paintings, they did these three figures. Now, my purpose of doing this is that I use three elements of perspective here. Now, I'm not working with color today, but this is my foremost figure. So this figure is the most in focus. This will be the second most in focus. This is the third most in focus. So you have diminution via focus. You also have diminution via size. So that's your other point of perspective. And if I were using color, you would have diminution via color, and much as in landscape painting, as these colors move away from you, they get more muted and change hue. So that's the theory behind this. So there's a lot of that goes into this. Now, basically, you can use this oval shape, find your orientation and rotation and decide what if you're going to have a front view or a back view. It's important that you have that hip in there, and you get, once again, your foot on the floor very quickly. I actually place that first foot on that weight-bearing leg. You always place the weight-bearing leg first. We'll kick this knee out a little bit just to kind of get this moving faster. Once again, the head is just a placeholder. We're really doing contrapostal figures. Now, this is obviously a front view. Now, when I do my paintings, these actually become kind of unisex. There's really no gender. But if I were putting breasts on there, for instance, I could just have that follow around that shape. If I want to get some flesh on this fairly quick, I can pull this out. I can find this sartorius muscle and pull that around the calf group, come back up, over, down to the ankle. Then I can find my abductor group pulling in here. So what I want to show you too, so this gets starting to get very analytical, but here's the important aspect of this. You know, once you know this stuff, you can come back and start to kind of pick a light source and start simplifying a lot of these shapes. So a lot of what appeared to be construction lines early on now are becoming more painterly, just, you know, form oriented stuff, you know, and this is the important part of this, the direction of these things, you know, not that it's a leg or a knee or breast or arms or whatever it is, but, you know, you start to get a feeling of form and bulk. And, you know, once again, I was talking about the, coming back in and adding some, that's not a very good white.
Adding some highlights, I guess.
Yeah, adding highlights to it. Here we go. Yeah, so, you know, you can come back in and really start losing all of this early on information that everybody that was considered a master in the Renaissance mastered all of this stuff. And really, they're not very precise with any of it in the beginning. You know, so that's one of the things that's kind of changed by the way that we work today, as opposed to how they worked back in the day. They worked much like I'm working here, and you know they really kind of knew where their light source was, knew where down planes were and up planes were, and you know, we'd have a leg back here that's kicking back that you really don't even need much of information for. You have an armpit, you have the side of the head, and you know, you don't really even differentiate. You're not putting lines around things. In other words, you're building from the inside out via whether it's muscle groups or shapes or whatever. But then you go in and you start to really just pull these shapes out.
So if you were doing a drawing of, let's say, a portrait,
yeah,
would you draw in the skull and then the muscles and then kind of do the portrait on top of that?
Well, that's a very interesting question, Eric, because the artists in the Renaissance basically were not bound very much by models. And they really weren't working on commissioned portraits per se, even though there's a lot of portraiture. But what they did was they basically did exactly what you said. They basically created their figure. Then they used the model for particulars, rather than being model bound at the beginning. You know, they actually, you know, the famous drawings by Leonardo. I think most people know them, where they're these very, very grotesque looking humans that he did all of these people that you know have various defects in their faces. Now when I'm doing my final paintings, I might not put an arm there. I may just create this shape. I'm very conscious of these shapes between figures, you know, and of course then I would have my third little figure here, which would be way out of focus, which would be a back view. So what they would do is that Leonardo probably took a sketchbook with him. He recommends it. But he would probably do something. Is this in camera?
Yeah.
So he would probably do something of very, very quickly of a face out there. And they always worked in pen and ink, by the way. You would notice almost in all the bulk of their works in pen and ink. So he might have done something. He might have said, well, this guy's got a pretty big nose. He's got kind of a strange shaped head. And, and it might just be that rough. And he might have come in and, with a wash and gave it some bulk or whatever. So then when he would get back to the studio, this was just his little notation. So when he would get back to the studio, he would draw this guy that would be, you say, okay, well, I remember that guy had this really thick brow and he had this nose that really hung out there. But see, that's all the information he provided himself. So his idea of observation was kind of note-taking, both mentally and, very quick little sketches. And he might say, well, this guy had like very, very big ears, or whatever. But anyway, he did all these kind of grotesque looking figures that were basically done in the studio from, his observation in the field. So that's
spent a massive amount of time studying this.
Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing, I mentioned geometry. These people in these workshops. Now, not everybody made it through the workshops, by the way. You might have been a great color mixer, and that might have been as far as you got. So the people that made it through truly were masters. Not everybody got that title, and once again, then this figure would be smaller than these, and this would be in less focus. And I also think it's a good idea to come back and not be too precious with any of this. I like to kind of destruct this. And what this kind of does is it kind of pulls everything back together in these paintings. And then I kind of, now reemphasize that this would be my forward figure. Of course, you can come in and work gouache on top of these as well. Now, the only difference here is that my pen and ink, if I were working with the real figure, would be, now this you wouldn't do until like the final, hurrah, to build this figure. But as you can see, you really start to very simply get some form. So that's kind of the process. Yes, they studied geometry for probably 10 years at least. And it was a very, very much a part of what they did. And from going back to the Greeks 2,000 years ago, this is all structure. Their work was all structural based. It is, we kind of over glamorize it in a way, because we look at these monstrous or wonderful, I gotta keep drawing here. We look at these wonderful big commissions with multiple figures, and we kind of attribute that to the master. Well, the master really probably didn't have much to do with that. He basically did the planning, and he had a guy that was the feet guy, and a guy that was the hands guy, and a hair guy, and a drapery person, and somebody mixed all the colors. And where we looked for the master, look to the master for the master works are for the smaller works, and occasionally they would work on a big commission if it were for the Pope or somebody. Obviously, Michelangelo did a lot of the work on the Sistine ceiling. He didn't delegate much of that to anybody. You can find down planes, and you can throw them in there pretty fast. This is a down plane. And you note that there's no need to actually be terribly delicate and stay. One of the worst things that happens is when we're kids and we get our little coloring books and we're having such a wonderful time, and then our parents come in and go, oh, no, you have to stay between the lines. Well, that ruins more artists than anything,
Hey, would you do me a favor? Would you flip the page?
Sure.
And give a little mini lesson on planes, because I think there are people here who might not understand what that means.
Okay, well, yes, I will do that because let me explain this because what the mothership is here. This is,
I love a blank sheet of paper.
yeah, this is fun. This is the height line, and is all that in?
Yep.
Okay, this is the width line, and this is the depth line. The depth line doesn't have anything to do with how long these lines are. The depth line is always the one with the most acute angle. This now becomes, now I'm doing a little imaginary perspective. If one is learning, one probably does a lot of work in parallel perspective to learn a lot of these geometric passages. But this is the height line, the width line, and the depth line. This is exercise number 1. I have an exercise that I do every morning before I start work, which is actually, it is the start of my work. And it's much like a dancer would do stretching exercises, or a musician does chords. But it's basically, I make this grid of squares. There's my diagonal lines. Here's my Baroque diagonal. Here's my sinister diagonal. And the reason for this exercise is really hand-mind coordination. It's trusting this and aiming through that every day. Now this kind of gets my mind in the room with my hand and gets me prepared to draw.
Do you seriously find that makes a huge difference? I mean, you've been doing this for 50 years. It still makes a big difference.
Well, you will find that if you get into the geometry of this stuff, that all the geometry is included and all of the elements of the visual language are included. We have diagonals, we have verticals, we have horizontals, and now we have points for a 12-point. Yeah, no, I think this is rudimentary. This, we start, usually we go right in the studio and we start drawing, sit down, start drawing. No other art form does that. Dancers stretch, musicians, play chords. Poets even have exercises that they do. But now you see I've done all my information in there. Now, this translates, by the way, into every geometric form that we deal with. As you see, I built a dimensional square out of that. So this is all three-dimensional geometry. So that's
you're blowing me away.
No, that's the crux of this whole thing. This is the mothership. And if you come in here with this, pull that across there, then you have the ellipse in there like that. And so then I can pull this across and I have the other ellipse there, and that's how you generate a cylinder. So
you go through all this in your video, I remember.
Yeah. So this is the the cube is the mothership. I know that Cezanne says a lot about cones and spheres and whatever, but they're all part of this cube system. So if I do this once again, let's make this a little more cute. So I have a height line. It's very important, by the way, to do this sequence. Height line, width line, depth line, and it's important to do this sequence because everybody here's the basic misnomer.
Starting to lose you on the top of the camera.
Okay. Well, let me do it here. So here's the misnomer: height line, width line, depth line. It's important to do it in that order because the height line is the easiest. the angle for the width line is the second easiest. The acute angle for the depth line is the third hardest. I mean, the least easy, I should say. A lot of people too will paint cubes or paint bottles. I know Myron Barnstone paints his bottles all white. You're really better off if you're using a glass cube, and you can see these back angles, because it's important that we are seeing these as three-dimensional. And it's also important that we know that line is darkest at the top and gets lighter. It's darker there and gets lighter, and darker there and gets lighter, so that we are, creating this. So this is the idea of planes. We have a side plane. We have a top plane that's getting some light. We have a front plane that's not getting as much light as this side plane. So the artist creates all of their own light and creates their own light source, or is in control of it, that you can actually use what's in the studio if it works for you. The problem with most classroom drawings is that they depend on the luck of the draw, and that's why the students that have been there the longest in a lot of these ateliers get first choice on where they get to set. It's also
a question from the audience is, do you keep in mind a vanishing point on these shapes?
Well, they are so far out here, it would be so far off camera. But yeah, I have an imaginary vanishing point somewhere out here. It's I think Daniel Green used to talk about it and say, kind of get the idea of perspective out of your mind, and think of it more as mild foreshortening. So that was a great man we lost recently.
Yeah, was he? I had dinner with him right before he died.
Oh, did you?
What a treat.
Yeah, I was pretty close with him. It's I don't know, some of the other people I have not ever gotten very close with, but I don't know. I probably know why. But anyway, that's.
Well, it's for you to intimidate them.
Well, no, I don't think that's it.
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty intimidated. Your knowledge is so vast.
Well, one of the sad things that's going on right now, Eric, is that how much time we got left?
Oh, we have probably 20, 25 minutes.
Okay, well, let me just flip this over, and I'll apply this to a head.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And we can kind of see how that works. Now, Bridgman starts with.
You tell us what the pen is. People keep asking that question.
Oh, this is just a pilot. It's a gel pen, metal tip. It's a 0.7. I usually use a finer pen. These pens happen to be gel inks, which are not really extremely archival. Is this going to be in? Is everything? Huh?
What'd you say?
Is everything on camera?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your kind of aubergine, eggplant kind of shape for your head. Starts with this oval, then becomes this not really an egg shape so much, but always try to give your this again is your. You're always thinking of this inside my square that I made. Okay, so that then you take this where this tangent meets. It kind of gives you a nice point of view, and we'll just use this now to give us a front side of this face, and we'll kind of come in here. Now I can find, really, if I'm doing this and coming back like that, I can kind of find a point here, and then I bring this across, so that's going to be the base of my nose. So that's kind of how this all starts, and then you lay in you lay in your eye socket, and I work with this. One of the things people do not allow enough for is really this brow line at the top, and of course I'm always kind of seeing the bone structure here coming down, finding my ear. Now, if I come over here this far to where this is the bridge of my nose, Then I come back to the center. I mean, this is all like it's a wireframe, so I've got to imagine every time something turns. So I'm coming away. I came away this far from the bridge of my nose, so I'm coming across from the center of that to finding out where that ear is. And ears are just kind of these wonderful things. You have this cartilage that comes around and really attaches there, and comes back in, spirals in there, and then you have this little flap of flesh that hangs down as we get older. It hangs down further and further. Mine are getting pretty well pronounced. Then you have this jawbone. You have your area for your teeth to pull out. And remember, now we've got this front plane up there, so we're going to have some plane down there. Now, if your point of view is there, we won't be quite as much perspective down here at the bottom. But it's all kind of the same kind of stuff. We learn that there's a bone that ties together a suture right there. There's another point there. These are there's a term for them, something omatic bone positions. But and we know that we have this muscle that pulls out there that's starting to give this some bulk. So yeah, I'm thinking about all of this, what's underneath all this all the time. Do I put it in all the time? No, not necessarily. Probably not. I probably put it in more than I actually need to. But your mouth has got to go around. Part of the reason that you're understanding that this is there, your mouth has to fit around that. So that this belongs to the upper lip. This part belongs to the lower lip. This part belongs to the upper lip again. So the line changes ownership there a few times. So this is when you kind of have some fun. You decide this person's got a little underbite there, and has these huge pillars coming underneath the chin. So this would so that you find the side at the top of the nose, you find the side of the nose, the lateral cartilage. I just kind of bring all this stuff around. Then we can decide this person has a little more character, and the cap of their nose is pretty squared off. Maybe they got a little dimple in there. So you start building some character as you go. Usually this mouth drips out of the side there, and we have some configuration there. Now, what creates these little pillars here is that you have a muscle that comes down there, which is the mentalis, and you have another muscle that pulls up to this corner, which is the triangularis. And so going between those two muscles, that's what creates these I forget what the lady's name is, but the lady in Fargo, she has that was in the original Fargo, McDermott. She has those wonderful pillars under her, Frances McDermott. So you just build it, and like I said, I like to get this in there and start really getting some tone in it early. I think too often, I've probably waited longer to get tone in there than I normally do. But you don't really erase anything. You're using your kind of white chalks or white gouache or whatever. And if you ever look at Paul Prouhon's rough drawings, I mean, everybody's real familiar with his renderings, which are fabulous, but his rough drawings are rough, and he starts out pretty much with this kind of thing. See where I just went in there and drew this out like that. Now you're working light to dark, dark to light, working lights into darks, and then you can go in. And the thing is really what you want to end up, I mean, it looks like that these old masters put a ton of information in these drawings. And when you really start to get out, look at a Velasquez ear, for example, you will be just disgusted because it's like so few brush strokes and they're so perfect. And you're just, but a lot of it is process. They don't erase anything. Leonardo even says, do not erase. You don't draw the upper lip ever. You really don't have much highlight on that lip because it is totally.
Say that again. You don't draw the upper lip ever?
No, I mean, you don't draw a line for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a shadow.
Yeah, you're just drawing the division in between there. So the other thing that is done a lot today because people see it is that they draw these cast shadows too heavy. Uh, if you look at Masterworks, you won't see many of those at all. If you look at a dollar bill, you will notice that I forgot who drew that. The guy that did George Washington so many times. But anyway,
Stewart.
Yeah. So there, there's no very few cast shadows, and you can probably, if you're done this a few times, that where the cast shadows ought to be. That's not a great head, but those are the principles of how you go about this. And once again, like I said, the idea is not to get too carried away with any of this stuff, and know that once you get to a certain point, that you can indicate a great deal. And a lot of times when I have like little areas like this that are pointing up toward the light, I just let that really kind of kick out. Now this I can redefine from the outside in, make it a little bit more interesting. I can actually give him a little light on his chin down there. Pull this out.
Somebody made a comment. They said, "Where have you been all my life?"
Yeah. Well, not a lot of people work like this anymore. I just happen to have, I'll tell you, a lot of my training was Bauhaus oriented, which, really doesn't have much to do with any of this stuff. But one can.
What kind of white? People are asking about your white marker.
Oh, this is a real. I've got way too much light, way too much.
It looks like it's a Sharpie.
Yeah, it's just a Sharpie. It's a Sharpie paint pen, but this is not oil. This is just your regular tempera paint. Now I'd kick that lip out. It's important to let some of these areas breathe. These shapes breathe out and to breathe into other. I usually break my eyebrow so it's not so monotonous. Now.
This is fascinating, Michael.
Well, it's just kind of like I said, don't get too enamored with any of it. You can always come back and pull it back together, get some tone back up in there.
How many hours a day do you spend drawing?
Depends. I used to get up, I named certain sketchbooks after certain dogs because when they got incontinent, they got up pretty early. And so I would get up with them and I would never go back to bed. So let's start another one here. So, I have my Lissy set of sketchbooks. She got incontinent at about 16 and lived to be 22. So I was up at about 3:30, 4 o'clock every morning drawing. And so let's just see if we can do something a little more interesting.
That's a good question. If you were doing something from life, you'll go through the same process with them.
Yes, pretty much. What I would do from life is I would look at the model. I would start with drawing from the model, just to kind of get the pose and just get the general information. They have kind of a longish nose, or they're going to have emphasis on the ear, they have heavy brow or whatever. Then once I had that information, let's move this over a little bit. Once I had that information, I would get away from the model, and I would build my figure. Now I find this point back there, and I go back to this because I know if I bring this down to this point, and match that point, then I have the line of my jaw. This is where my ear is going to be in this particular pose. Now I can cut that. I know this stuff well enough to do a lot of shorthand on this stuff, and often do, because this comes around, goes around, makes that little dido, and comes back up, and that forms your ear, and then you have the inside of that, and then you really define that ear by what's behind the ear. So I get all of the horses in the game early. I don't try to put lines around things. I don't try to block everything in before I start adding tone. I like to get to the tone in the game early. Now I know that lifted up off that center point that far, so down here this has to lift up off that center point that same basic distance. So now I know that this is the corner of my jaw, and that's going to be where my nose is. So this fits back in there like that. Now, one of the mistakes people make a lot is they don't leave enough space for the side of the nose, but you have this lateral cartilage that comes down, goes in, and then we have our alar flap. The alar is really cartilage over here, but the alar flap, and it's called some other things by doctors, but the alar flap is actually fat, and this actually bends over. Your septum comes down in between, it bends over that. Now, if you pull this point up here and come around and end it before you get to, okay, so I'll take this down to the chin, end it about here, and pull it around like so, you can kind of create your dental arch. And this turns like that, so that your dental arch is going to kind of, in a circular fashion, follow that same sort of thing. So this is going to pull out. We're going to find that lobe. We're going to find this lobe. We're going to find that lobe.
If you guys are enjoying this, please hit the like or the share button. Other people would love to see this, I'm sure. This is a very rare occasion to have Michael on.
Well, thank you. So here's how I approach the eye sockets. I look at them as aviator sunglasses. And notice I didn't bother to take this chunk out on that side. People do that as a fault. There's really not a chunk out there so much. What you have over here is that you have your brow that comes around. Then you have the top part of that eye socket that goes back behind there. Then you have the bottom part of the eye socket that comes back out there. Then you have the eyeball itself. So we really make too big of a cutout there of that particular situation. Now, yes, I do this. I think in terms of eyes between eyes. I think in terms of the plane of that eye towards you, to the side, to the back.
This is exciting. I love this. I could do this all day. Want to just stay on all day, Michael?
Yeah, well, you ask how long I do this. I at one time in my life probably did this 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now that I'm older, I probably do 6 or 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. Some days are 10 or 12 hours and some days are less. I try to read as well.
And what do you like to read?
Stuff about art. I read a lot. Recently, I've been reading a lot by, I don't know how you pronounce his last name. It's Georgi Kepes, but it's a Hungarian name. He was the a professor at MIT. As I've mentioned a few times, my background is heavily oriented from the Bauhaus. I had a lot of teachers that had Kandinsky and Clay for instructors. I also had an instructor that had Rico Lebrun as an instructor, and he was a big influence on my life. So here, I could get all involved in that and start working a lot of detail in it. Same thing here, I could get involved with that. But as you see, I'm quickly getting into what I like to think that the way that I work is really get you. That's sort of like painting. That you're really kind of doing the same process. Now this would just be I'd be doing this with a brush, and I would probably be taking some medium and moving some of that brushwork around and filling this in and doing all my underpainting. And you would find this nose, probably let it out of that situation it's in. You might let that part of that eyelid jump in there. And note that I blocked all that in.
Was that a blender tool or was that just a marker?
That was a blender tool.
Okay.
But it's one thing about eyes. It's really a subtle thing. A lot of people miss. Now here, I would probably just take that whole eye and darken it right into the nose, and use that to give me that sharp turn on that nose. But here, where I have my iris, that's actually dimensional. So you have a change of direction up over that, and then that you have a shadow underneath that top part, and then inside of that you have some pretty intense stuff, and you have this little thing on the side that Robert Beverly Hale called the sausage. I spent a lot of time with Hale as well as Bridgman. I think that Bridgman's books are a little obtuse. They take like forever to learn. And what you finally end up learning is that he's not teaching you how to draw. He's teaching you a concept of drawing. And once you realize that, it's like somebody turned on all the lights, So when you say, do you copy his drawings? It's real important that you read the copy that accompanies his works. I'm not even sure he wrote them, but it's important that you read them. Your upper lip and probably this side of your nose. And don't be afraid to go outside the lines. That's the other aspect of this. Now you see that's just very, very little indication there that I start to get some information going with that. I can bring my blending tool in here and actually build the side of that nose a little bit. So I would approach a painting or gouache painting or oil painting pretty much the same manner, working in and out of it and building it up, and not really ever thinking in terms of just staying in the process and not thinking in terms of finish so much. Now I know I know that there's going to be a highlight there. I don't have to see it. I know the light's going to get caught on this corner of this ear. I don't have to see it. It's going to get caught on the front of that. It's also going to get a little light back here, and then it becomes pretty easy then for me to very simply come across here, shade that in, pull that away from the head here.
You make it look so easy.
Well, I think part of it is that I enjoy it. And the other part of it is I don't really have much choice. I wrote a little thing, little post a few days ago that this is kind of, I explained that my mom was a psychiatric nurse, and she knew that I was a little left of center, and so she kind of gave me the opportunity to. And our tendency here, I just want to mention this. Our tendency here is to think that we have to do a lot here with this eye, because we've done more with this eye over here. But really, if you focus on that eye, you should only be requiring your viewer to have to look at a few things at a time. So if I create this triumvirate of shapes to there and back to here, or if I create that triumvirate of shapes, or if I find a nice highlight here at the corner of the cheekbone, then I may not need to do much with that eye at all. As a matter of fact, rather than thinking that I need to do more, it's possible that I need to do less. It's this is not a multimedia paper, so it's starting to pick up a little bit. But and you can. I have the world's biggest set of markers, by the way. I have it was from Pantone, and they don't make it anymore. But it's I don't know how many hundreds of markers are in that set. But it comes with a fine. I'll just show you. This is the old marker, and it comes with the square on one end. They've lasted forever. Then on this end, it's very unique. Lay down some of the pencils. And there was a whole handful of them. On this end, you have a small tip. Yeah, it's very small. But you also have, on that same end, you pull it off, and you got a teeny tip. So it has 3 tips.
Really?
So it was quite the set. And it was also quite expensive, so they didn't sell a lot of it. Anyway, that's kind of the process.
All right. Why don't you come back on camera and we'll say goodbye?
You betcha.
Give a thumbs up and applause to Michael Mentler. Fabulous. Fabulous. I am so excited. When I see something like this, I just get all jazzed and juiced up. This is terrific.
All right, there I am.
Well, Michael, you were a true master. And
I think I got this turned around backwards.
oh, you're okay. You're
okay.
cool.
Okay. All righty. All right.
Just come over to the side a little bit where I can see your face.
There we go.
There you are.
All right. Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for doing this today. We're honored. I would tell everybody that if you go to Lil It All Art Video, Michael's video is there, and it's absolutely fabulous. And it gives a lot of depth. It's several hours, lots of anatomy, lots of a little bit of everything. And also you can find his book there. I don't have a picture of your book, but it's a fabulous book. And what do you call that book? Do you remember?
It's Book of Bones.
Book of Bones. Book of Bones. Yeah.
Yeah. So also you can find me at the Society of Figurative Arts.com. That's TSOFA.com.
TSOA.com.
OFA. SOFA. T-SOFA. The Society of Figurative Arts.com. And of course, my works are at Southwest Gallery in Dallas.
Southwest Gallery. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, and I gave everybody the website, and probably you have a link on the website to TSFOA, but just in case, it's michaelmentler.com. Michael, thank you so much. You really inspired a lot of us today, and it was really fabulous, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Come on down to Austin. We'll shoot a couple more videos.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care, man. Thank you. You guys hang here for just a second, and then we're out of here quickly. But I just want to congratulate the winner of the easel brush clip, Elizabeth Beller Crunau from Michigan. If you make a comment today, we're going to grab from the comments, even on the replays, and give away my book, Make More Money Selling Your Art. A couple of things, couple of announcements. First off, I'm having a cocktail party. Woohoo! The idea is I just want to get everybody together and we'll just chat, so we're going to do it on Thursday night. this Thursday, and I do it at 9 p.m. Eastern. That way we can get the people after work in California, although they're not working in California. Some of them are. So if you want to find that cocktail party, you got to go. There's a special link that we'll send you. So just go to ericrhoads.com/cocktail. And then put your email in, and then we'll send you the invite, and that way you can come to it. So that's cocktail party on Thursday. Also, what else do I have to tell you guys? We've got this a great artist tomorrow. Tim Oliver is going to be doing this watercolor painting, or maybe not this watercolor painting, but he's going to show you some watercolor for our watercolor friends. And today at 3 p.m., we have the great nocturne artist, Carl Bretsky, and he's going to teach nocturne painting. And there's some things in there that I never understood that are really fabulous. You're going to see parts of that video today. This is one of the 2 demos he does on the video. And of course, you'll get a discount on that video today only. Michael's video is up on Lilidol if you want to find that at any time. Also, just briefly, I want you guys to see that.
Painting outside is fun, and everyone is doing it. It's a great way to make new friends, be creative, and enjoy the outdoors. But painting outside requires different skills than painting inside, and it helps to learn it from the best. Monet and the Impressionists called it plein air painting, and the movement is bigger than ever. Now thousands are going outdoors to paint. Once you master plein air painting, your paintings will be transformed because you'll learn to see light, color, and form differently. At the second annual Plein Air Live, a worldwide virtual online art conference devoted to plein air painting. 3 days of world-class artists demonstrating various techniques for outdoor and landscape painting. You'll get to know other artists and instructors personally through our breakout sessions. And we'll even paint together at the end of each day. This year's faculty includes Kevin McPherson, Kathleen Dunphy, Joseph McGurl, Camille Priswadek, Christine Lashley, Michelle Uzabelli, Dawn Whitelaw, Lori Putnam, Dave Santillanes, Bill Davidson, Don Demers, John McCartan from Australia, and more to be announced. Get private access to our exclusive members group to become part of our community and learn to take your artwork to a higher level. Plein Air Live, April 15th through the 17th. Sign up today and join the world as we learn art together. And for people who want to learn painting from scratch, start with our Beginner's Day on April 14th. We'll teach painting in different mediums like watercolor, gouache, pastel, acrylic, oil, and we'll teach subjects like trees, clouds, mountains, water, and more. You'll see your artwork get better faster as you learn from top artists from all over the world. Make history as part of the Worldwide Art Conference, Plein Air Live. Sign up today and join the world as we learn art together. From the publishers of Plein Air Magazine.
Well, there's already about almost seven or 800 people signed up for that. So get signed up. The big deadline for the price saving is this Sunday, the 28th. And so go ahead and get signed up for that. We have 4 more names we're going to announce by email today. And we have 2 more big, really big, I mean, spectacularly big names we're about to announce. And it's just going to be spectacular. You don't want to miss it. And just know that if you can't make the dates, you can watch the replays. And if you're a person who just doesn't go for those long days, you know, at our plein air conventions, we do long days. We get up early in the morning, we go till late at night. And our rule there is take in as much as you can handle. You know, so sometimes people go to their room and take a nap. Same thing for this. You know, if you want to make it so it's not so tough to spend a full day, because we're doing, 10-hour days. We're just trying to give you lots of value. If it's just too much, just go ahead and take a nap. You can always watch another section later. Now, you're not going to be able to interact with the artist during those segments, but it's phenomenal. So anyway, sign up for Plein Air Live at pleinairlive.com. Thanks again to Michael Mentler today. It was really inspiring. I just wish I could do that. I guess I could if I would apply 50 years and the amount of time that he's put into it. Fabulous, fabulous work. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Eric Rhoads. The goal here is every day. This is 335 days since coronavirus began. And I'm going to take a vacation. I think maybe this weekend, next week. I think I'm going to take a couple of weeks off. I haven't had any time off. Thinking about getting into the camper and driving down to see family in Florida. But I'm not sure yet. We're waiting to see. We've got a lot of damage here at the house from the storm. So we're waiting to see if we can get some of those repairs done before we go. Anyway, thanks for watching. And by the way, if I do take time off, we'll be here every day anyway. We'll figure out a way. Either I'll be here, or I'll pre-record, or I'll play replays of some past things, which is another idea that was given to me yesterday. So thank you for that. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher, Fine Art Connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine. Remember to check out Michael Mentler's website, books, and videos. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.